He's from Miramar. Those kids have played a lot of good football. They play a lot of games down there in the playoffs every year. They go deep, and just loved his skill sets. He catches the ball really well. Slot receiver type guy, and like I said, he's one of those guys that plays the game faster than he is on the track. And those are the things that I noticed most. He just catches everything around him. So, as much as anything, his possession ability is something I've been pleased with.
Questions for Coach? Go ahead.
With Chrome taking it slowly coming back, who's opening the door for it to come in pressure?
All of them, really. We're trying to bring the young kids along. Probably the toughest transition for all positions in college football to me are the defensive line kids. They were big kids in high school, and they got big kids that are 23 years old double teaming them. So, but I think both Jalen and Caton are two guys. They're young, but we're trying to get them going. All those kids are going to have to compete. Wayne Williams, with Kroom being out, it gives us a chance to really see, kind of a gut check and check some of those kids' toughness out because they're going to get a lot more reps than they usually would, just minus a guy. But really, it's just all of them, and it might be by committee if we have to, which I have no problem with. We've done that in the past, and back when we had Perkins and Bud Tribby and those guys. We had Arthur the one year, but even with Arthur, we tried to roll him. So, it'll be by committee, and Coach Dowse will have them ready.
You mentioned you had a live period today. How do you keep your team healthy when you start doing all the hitting?
We usually don't have as many injuries when we go live. I don't know why. It's like playing pickup basketball. You play pickup with some guys that don't play basketball, you roll your ankle every time, it seems like, Try to stay up, be smart. When you hold back, sometimes is when you get the injuries. So, I think as long as you're smart and you look at the numbers and when you do it, like we do it. I like to do the live periods earlier in practice when they're fresh and going full speed, as opposed when you have fatigue setting in and maybe a kid that's a little out of shape, gets stepped on or falls and rolls into someone's leg. But for me, I really like doing it early in practice and giving the kids a chance to go full speed is probably the biggest key. But when you back off sometimes is when you have more injuries.
Tom.
Are some guys starting to stick out a little more now that you've gone full pads 2 days in a row?
Yeah, a little bit. I think Ivan Foy's doing a real good job. Saw some good things out of him today. Sean Hickey's playing well. He's at a nice place with his body. He's playing some good football. On the defensive side, quite a few different kids have been showing up, but the one I noticed is Micah Robinson. He's just a big physical DN. It's, when the pads go on, he always seems to show up. When you're doing hoop drills and all those other things that are cute, beads and trinkets and that sort of thing, maybe he's not as sexy. But when you put the pads on, you always know where he's at. You got a big old head and big hands, and he knows how to how to put his body up underneath you. So I'd say Micah was one guy that jumped out. Cam Lynch made some nice plays today. Dyshon was running around like always. Marquise Hodge made a play coming all the way across the field and hit somebody. So it's good to see some of those guys that we expect to be good, hard-nosed, physical players playing that way at practice today, and those are just to name a few.
Questions for Coach today? Steve.
Coach, as I'm sure you're probably aware, the NCAA announced some changes today that the Power 5 conferences will have autonomy moving forward. I'm just curious to get your thoughts on that and what your takeaways are from the report.
Yeah, I have not read the report. Kind of hunkered down in there, be honest with you. But knew that it was probably going to go in that direction. It's a difficult thing, I grew up in the Mid-American Conference, so I was a have-not. We'd bust to Central Michigan, and we'd bust to Toledo, and when you won, it was a nice long bus ride home. When you lost, it seemed like it took you 3 days, and unfortunately, for those types of teams, that I grew up coaching, I think it'll be a little bit more difficult for them. The flip side of it is, if you're in the Power 5 and you have an opportunity to, upgrade everything that you're doing, because there is a lot of financial differences between the two. Now that I'm on this side of the fence, I'm like, well, it's really good. but I do look back and say, man, that's a tough deal. You know, we were kind of the last of the Mohicans at Northern Illinois. My last year there, we won 10 games and didn't go to a bowl game. The next year, I think the MAC had a team that won 7 and went to the bowl game, and we always felt like they finally balanced it out with all the work that a lot of people did. I remember when Travis Prentice was playing tailback at Miami of Ohio a few years before that. I think they won 10 and didn't go to a bowl game. So I think you're going to see a balancing act going on as you work through it. But I think it's a great thing for the ACC and a great thing for Syracuse University. It's just it's just reality where football's going.